Hello guys, what is up? It's Spider, back at you with another video, and today I'm going to bring you a brand new series that you've never seen before, so welcome to BrawlEsports News. Now I am going to talk a little bit about what this series is, but if you would like to skip this and go straight to the end, there'll be a timestamp on screen right about now, and you can go ahead and skip ahead straight to the news. But here is the series. This series will have no regular schedule. However, I'll try and upload 1 or 2 videos every single week, just whenever there's news really. Each episode is going to be separated into 3 sections. The first being our major story of the episode, the main headline and the biggest news. Then segment 2 will be covering tournaments and events of the past weekend, going over some scores, upsets, standings, etc. And then for the last few minutes, we'll briefly cover a few smaller stories, including things such as player drama, roster shuffles, and potential tournament speculations. So now that you know exactly what to expect, let's jump right into today's episode. First things first, our major story of the day, well that will be the new update coming into Brawl Stars shortly. Now at the time of this recording, the update is yet to be released. However, a Brawl Talk was released on Sunday, yesterday when I'm recording this, talking about the update. Things talked about in this update included a new brawler called BB, multiple new skins, and a new game environment, with it being called Retropolis. A lot of people were complaining about this update on social media as it was supposedly overhyped. However, I'm going to withdraw my opinion for now. I'm going to refrain from giving it on the update, as I don't believe we've seen enough of it to comment just yet. I mean, they've said new objects, new maps, and a new environment, and all we've seen of these things is 15 seconds of gameplay on one new map, so I'm going to withhold my opinion on that for now. Then on to the next section of the video, this past weekend's competitive play. Pro Brawl League Season 3 did begin this past weekend with North America on Thursday, last week, and Europe on Friday. Now in North America we didn't see any particular upsets, with the results going exactly the way that the pick'ems suggested they would, although I will admit my pick'ems were not perfect, as I did have Ace 1 to beat Omen Jokers. However, Omen Jokers won 4-0, so GG's to them. Then over to Europe. There was one real upset going against the majority of pick'ems, that being 3D Max taking down Cream Esports. Although I do think most people would have predicted that result, pick'ems surprisingly showed otherwise. Then later that Friday night we saw Brawl Premier League Week 2 taking place, with the only real upsets there being Outlaws beating Ace 1. Although Ace 1 was unfortunately playing with a bot during set 1 and then playing with their manager for the rest of the match, they didn't really have a complete roster. And then former Polar Ace beating Omen Jokers. Now, because these teams are from opposite regions, from different regions, there was no real way of predicting the result. We didn't know how they would stack up. But it was a surprising result nonetheless. And notice I did say former Polar Ace. I'll talk more about that in the last segment of the video. And then on Sunday, we saw another week of the Brawl Stars North American Open. We saw some of the lower ranked teams such as Clover stepping up and making semi-finals, but ultimately yet again it came down to a Sneaky Planters versus Nova Esports final. However, this time Sneaky was playing with Jack Chepo in place of Squashy. They did go on to win the entire event after that. And then later that same year, then over in Gamergy Masters in the qualifier, we saw Ace 1 winning the final qualifier 2-0 over Cream Esports Argentina in the finals. Then on to our last segment of the video. Keeping it short and sweet, here are some of the smaller stories of this week. First up is Spen LC finally being announced to have signed with Nova Esports. Although we were expecting this, it's nice for it to finally be official. Then Polar Ace, who I talked about earlier, have split from the Polar Ace organization. The players on that team, as well as their team's manager being myself, have decided to depart from the Polar Ace organization. They have decided, however, to keep their spots in PBL, BPL and BCS, playing under the name Auto Aim for the Win. And as of this weekend, one of those players from the former Polar Ace roster, Matty, has signed with Clover Esports. And then a nice transition here, we go over to Ladder. On Monday morning, the previous Ladder season came to a close. And the number 1 finisher? It's Drage, from that former Polar Ace roster we talked about. winning the season right above his teammate Kirst. And then our last story for the day is something very minor, but I thought it'd be interesting to include, is the Twitter beef between Morten and Radical, two free agents within the scene. The debate sparked after Morten tweeted out, "Can we get a brawler that actually requires skill?" To which Radical responded, "Whoa, an interesting request for a player like you." Morten then responded, "Who are you?" And Radical replied with a screenshot of him beating Morten in a match. Morten replied saying, "Still don't know who you are," to which Radical responded, "You should probably try and discover more players then. Especially players 10 times better than you, like myself." To which Morten then quote tweeted saying, "Okay." So a little bit of an argument going on over Twitter there. And that right there will conclude the very first episode of Brawl Esports News, brought to you by BrawlEsports.com. I hope you all enjoy the first video, and please do tell me what you think of this series. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you back here very soon.